Metal Gear has been around for 36 years, starting with Metal Gear on the MSX in 1987. Since then, there has been a ton of sequels, spin-offs, and more. The franchise has left a huge impact on the gaming industry, and internet and meme culture. 9 times out of 10, if you ask a modern Metal Gear fan what their first game was, they're gonna say one of 3 things. Metal Gear Rising, Metal Gear Solid 5, or Metal Gear Survive. If they say Metal Gear Survive, they are probably lying. At the time, though, could you really blame them? Because up until now, those 3 games were the most accessible games on modern consoles. Yeah, if you're on PC, you can emulate them, but let's be honest, the average consumer is not going to do that. At the PlayStation Showcase of 2023, Konami announced Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater, a remake of the 3rd mainline entry of Metal Gear Solid. And at the same time, they also announced Metal Gear Solid Master Collection Volume 1. At the time, people were really excited. All these games would finally be playable on modern machines. Although, as more information started to come out near launch, people did get a little bit worried. It was confirmed that Metal Gear Solid 2 and 3 would be ports of the HD versions. Now, that doesn't sound too bad, but then that made people realize that these aren't remasters, which to most people that is a bit disappointing, but for me personally, who has been wanting to play these games for a very long time, I could not care less. Then, some information regarding the Nintendo Switch version came out, and it wasn't great. It was confirmed that the games would be locked at 30 FPS, which, if you don't know, the PS2 versions of Metal Gear Solid 2 and 3 run at 60. So, that means the Nintendo Switch versions of the game, which by the way, the Nintendo Switch is supposed to be better than the PS2 in terms of graphics, somehow they run worse than the PS2 native versions. I partially blame both Konami and Nintendo for this. Konami because they couldn't figure out how to get it running at 60, and Nintendo because they refused to upgrade the Switch hardware. Then, we finally get to launch, and it's very underwhelming. On PC and Nintendo Switch, there are bugs everywhere. On PC, you had things such as graphical issues. Konami advertised that the games would run at 1080p on PC. Great, makes sense. Until PC players realized that when they got their games, they were not at 1080p. They were at 720p, which ran worse than the Xbox 360 and PS3 versions. I forgot to mention, but they also announced a PS4 version, which was digital only, no Xbox One version. If you got the game on PS4, let me know if it ran bad or decent, or even good, I don't know. But it seems to me from what I've read that the PS5 and Xbox Series versions of the games are the best, but they still have issues. I will be reviewing the PS5 version today because that's the one I have. I pre-ordered it all the way back in July, and I have a lot of things to say. So, what exactly does this collection come with? It includes Metal Gear Solid, Metal Gear Solid 2, Sons of Liberty, Metal Gear Solid 3, Snake Eater, Metal Gear 2, Solid Snake, Metal Gear for the Nintendo Entertainment System, and Snake's Revenge, the non-canon sequel to the NES game. You also get some bonuses such as digital graphic novels of Metal Gear Solid 2 and 3. You also get the screenplays, which is actually kind of cool, and some music. Now, all that for $60 doesn't sound entirely bad. That's what I said before the game came out. Now that the game's been out and its issues are present, I don't think it's worth that much money. I think right now on Amazon and Best Buy, it's actually on sale, so if you want to, go pick it up. Now, for this video, I'm going to be going over the main 3 games, which is Metal Gear Solid, Metal Gear Solid 2, and Metal Gear Solid 3. I have barely played Metal Gear 1 and 2 on the MSX, but from what I've read, and from the little bit I've played, it runs fine. There's no issues, it's still Metal Gear. First, we're going to start with Metal Gear Solid, which, for me at least, has the most issues. For one, as far as I know, it's not 1080p. Now, I get it, it's a PlayStation game. It's not supposed to look super high res or anything, but come on. Also, it's locked at 30 FPS, which honestly, for me, isn't a huge problem, because I don't care. I don't care if it's 30 FPS or if it's 60 FPS. It's a PlayStation game. I'll tolerate it. The main issue, though, is it's literally just an emulation of the PlayStation game. Which, for most people, that's an issue. Because that means the game looks like ass compared to all the other games. Now, I get it. Like I said, it's a PlayStation game. Of course it's not gonna look as good as Metal Gear Solid 2 or 3, but the fucking PC version on GOG looks better. Why couldn't they just use that version? Which, by the way, I should mention, this collection allows you to pick between Metal Gear Solid or Metal Gear Solid Integral. In case you don't know the differences, go look them up. I don't have the time to explain them all to you. But if you look at the two versions side by side, it's very obvious that the PC port looks way better. And don't tell me, oh, of course it looks better, it's on PC. The fucking PC version of the Master Collection Edition looks like shit. Why couldn't they just use the fucking PC port as a basis? Another small issue that I have with it is it's stuck in 4:3. Now, me personally, I could care less if I could play a PS1 game in widescreen or not, but I know there's people out there who want to play it in widescreen. So the fact that there's no feature at all makes it kind of disappointing. Also, I should mention that there are cool little borders that you can put on in the settings. They look good, but I feel like the only reason they exist is because there's no option to switch between 4:3 and 16:9. Also, one issue that I see people have, which I don't have, is that it isn't 60 FPS. Now, hear me out. I think that Metal Gear Solid is a much more enjoyable experience at 30 FPS. Now, I get it. There's people out there who are sensitive to 30 FPS or it hurts their eyes. But for the context of this game, and also because it's a PlayStation game, 30 FPS just makes more sense in my opinion. Also, there was a bug on the PC version. I don't know if it's been fixed, but if your frame rate goes over 30 and you put a guard to sleep, they will get back up instantly. So, I don't know if Konami was just too lazy to fix it, or they couldn't fix it at all, which either way, I could care less. I don't care that it's not at 60. I still love the game. But still, I wish they gave us the option to switch between the original game's graphics and the PC version. Me personally, I probably would have preferred the PC graphics, but I still really enjoyed the game for, you know, it being the first time that I played it. Now, as for Metal Gear Solid 2 and 3, I don't have as many issues with those games. The only real issues I had were freezes. I didn't have them in Metal Gear Solid, but I sure as hell had them in Metal Gear Solid 2 and 3. For Metal Gear Solid 2, the only freeze I had was when you were shooting the bombs with the sniper rifle. And yeah, it was for like, I don't know, 2 seconds. But at least it wasn't during like a very important moment. For Metal Gear Solid 3, however, I had more freezes. Some of them were minor, literally half a second, but there was one instance where the game froze on me for at least 2 seconds on the final boss.
Open fire!
Yeah, those aren't the only issues I had though. For one, the games do run at 1080p. The textures, however, aren't 1080p. They are still 720p, they just aren't up-resed. Is that a word? Up-res? I don't know. Yeah, those issues, they suck, but they're minor issues. Those didn't stop me from enjoying the game, and since then, I haven't ran into those issues again. Thank God. But for PC and Nintendo Switch, I think the collection is very bad on there. So, here's something I'm gonna tell you. If you are on PC, just emulate the games. Get the GOG version of Metal Gear Solid 1. You will have a much better time with those than the Master Collection. If you are on Nintendo Switch, wait for a fix. If you are on PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series consoles, yeah, go for it, I'd say. Though, I would wait for a sale. I do think that if these games did launch better and they didn't have any issues, I would say it would be worth your full $60, but as of now, no. Wait for a sale. In conclusion, I think Konami could have done a lot better with this collection. On PS5 and Xbox, it's not entirely bad. If it's your only option, then great. But if you're on PC or Switch, then that's a whole different story. Hopefully Konami learns from this and they use it to improve Volume 1 and also make Volume 2 even better. Speaking of Volume 2, let's go over it real quick. What do I think is going to be in the collection? Well, for the main 3 games, it's pretty obvious. Peace Walker, 4, and 5. As for the bonuses, this is just me personally, but I hope they include Portable Ops, the Acid games, and Rising. Specifically Rising, because as everyone knows, Rising is really popular. Like, really, really popular. Like, most of the people who know Rising haven't even played it. So I feel like Konami would be too stupid to not include it in the collection. And I know this probably won't happen because Nintendo, but I really hope they add Twin Snakes to Volume 2, but it'll never happen. Anyways, thanks for watching, and I will see you guys next time.